If I had a laundromat in Minnesota, there would be a few people that would get laundry for life. It might be Randy Moss, it might be Prince, and it would definitely be Slug. Subscribe. Hey, what's up, y'all? It's Knowledge. Welcome to Brews and Reviews, and today I'm reviewing Atmosphere's Word. Here's a picture of me, Slug, and my wife, so you know exactly where I'm coming from. Seen Atmosphere in concert 3 times and actually got to meet him on this occasion. This is their 12th studio album, and they name themselves correctly because they stick around like chemicals in the atmosphere. I think their longevity is as long as carbon dioxide might last in the atmosphere. They have a staggering career of consistency. This was in fact a quick follow-up to last year's experimental The Day Before Halloween, which I reviewed and enjoyed, but this is more of a return to form for the Minnesota mainstays, and I actually don't know how well that album from last year was received. To me, I liked it, but it seemed like it just kind of came and went, and I didn't hear a whole lot of people, even Atmosphere fans, really talking about it. So I think maybe they felt like they had to have this quick follow-up less than a year later, and the rollout started even sooner, about 9 months after that project, as they started dropping individual EPs that would eventually form into this album. That's right, this album is made up of 4 individual EPs that they've been dropping since July, and I like this type of album rollout where artists do that, and I think it's a way to capture our short attention spans, make us stick with an album a little bit longer than we otherwise might in this day and age where albums are forgotten 2 weeks after they drop. If you drop an EP and then another EP a month later and another EP and so on, it just makes you keep reviewing the album as a listener. And I think that the first time I really saw that done was by Tone Deaf with his rollout to Polymer. It was made up of 4 EPs that he released over the course of 5 years, and that really helped us absorb the complex lyrics on that album. In fact, Polymer, probably most people listening to this right now have not heard this album, but do yourself a favor and check it out right now. This is my signed vinyl that I got of it, and this was really the best album of 2016 in my opinion, and someday I'm going to go back and do a review of this, but it's a little too intimidating because it's also probably one of the best, if not the best, album of the 2010s, and I know that's saying a lot, but Tone Deaf is a great artist. Check out Polymer. But anyway, we're talking about another underground classic group here, and that's Atmosphere. So let's get into the tracks. We got Fleetwood, that classic, slightly dark, chopped up vocal sample ant sound for an opening track. Think an intro like Camera Thief. That's what we're getting on this introspective beat. And Slug hits us with his own trademark as well. Cynical verses filled with dark humor. And catch the double entendres that he's kicking when he says, "My shit still stinks. Nobody's changing me. You trying to get dough, I'm trying to take over a bakery." And he's also playing with structure a little bit, giving us 4 7-bar verses. That's right, 7 bars. It's an odd number to choose, but he's playing with the song structure on this. Something is the next track, a little more upbeat here with some kettle drum and drum rolls from Ant. And Slug chooses to go 40 straight bars here, addressing youngins as he often does on this day and age with his self-proclaimed dad rap. He's in that part of his career. And I also like that he still calls out classic rap lines to pay homage to, like on here, the Beastie Boys' What You Want, and a little tongue-in-cheek call out to the Puffy and Mace track on the previous track on this album. Crumbs, we get a hardcore truth from Slug. He says, I used to follow you before social media, late night through the park, walking home from the bar. You could argue that the world got a little bit creepier. It's hard to compare it when you consider how aware we now are. Think about those lines. He's saying that people haven't really gotten worse. We just know more about them now based on social media and such. And that's a very poignant observation from the sad clown. We got a decent verse from Evidence too, who dropped a decent album on Rhymesayers earlier this year, and Muja Messiah. I'm not too familiar with him, but a good verse from him here also, explaining how white people get nervous around him. Woes, a very catchy track, more in the dad rap lane, and Slug gives us insight into his marriage, as he often does these days, mostly about the fights that they have. And 4 tracks in, this is the first real song with a catchy chorus. Strong. And speaking of dad rap, Slug is talking about his addictions here, his vices, but is it drugs, women, alcohol? No, his addictions are in the refrigerator. It's food. Pancakes are trying to kill him, he says. That's true dad rap right there. Clocked. Love this atmospheric production. See what I did there? But it's stuff like this that got Ant on my producer of the year list for many consecutive years in the 2000s. And lyrically, this is classic Slug also. He's spitting about himself in the third person in a self-deprecating way, the way that we've known him to do throughout his career. Sleepless, great line from Slug here. He says, "And all your favorite rappers are not Illuminati. We're too stupid, probably." And guest star Nino Bless solidifies that Sleepless is a metaphor for wokeness and how he and Slug aren't completely woke. He says, "Soaking in my oats, come find me in the mud. I'm tired, I ain't woke. Insomnia's a drug." Distances, a little circus-inspired beat here, and sure enough, Slug is talking about being a clown, but more importantly, he talks about only choosing to be around a select few and basically being an introvert before quarantine. He says, "Might have to scream just to see if they're listening. I've been missing since back before the distancing. I don't remember a normal experience. I've been missing since back before the distances." A little muffle on his voice also helps to create the distance between him, the artist, and the fans. Vanish. All right, and getting funky with it. The most hype beat on the project and vibing to Slug's lyrics too. This is too short. I was really prepared for this to be one of my favorite tracks if it kept going, but we do get a little George Carlin sample at the end that's well fitting, talking about an asteroid the size of Minnesota going through the atmosphere. Pressed. A true posse cut, and this is one I kept returning to when this EP dropped about a month ago. Maybe the bar of the year from Slug when he says, "Never forget, this is America, banks rob you." And another standout verse from probably the best MC currently on this track, Sa-Roc. She says, "Said I gotta show some skin to keep 'em interested, but I bear it all in every stanza, every measure drastic. Work them fingers to the bone till the digits fractured to show the difference between the real ones and the manufactured." And good verses too by the other dudes on this track, all of them, and relatively unknown half dozen has one of the best verses too. But Latif the Truth Speaker also stands out playing cleanup on this. And I'm gonna drink to this track, and today's beer is a Haas from one of my favorite breweries, Great Divide. This is an Oktoberfest Marzen coming in at 6.2%, and this is a great beer, great track here in Pressed. And now we finally get into the new tracks. We got Skull. Great storytelling from Slug here. In fact, even though I love Pressed, I would say EP4 as a whole, even though it's just 3 tracks, is the best of the 4 word EPs. And that's exactly how it should be when you drop an album like this. But he's on some storytelling stuff on this song. It's about witnessing a violent car wreck that many years ago that haunts him to this day. And it has a huge twist at the end that gives him a realization about his own life. Next, we got an introspective beat by Ant, and some of the best lyrics from Slug on the project are here on the penultimate song, saying, "I'm a Tyrannosaurus wreck, break another sweat. I give you my heart in the shape of a cassette. How can I continue if I don't know how to let go of all my issues to forgive you and forget?" Later, he addresses the fans, says, "Know you got my back, I can feel the connect, but my local laundromat doesn't accept respect." Damn, Slug should have at least earned a few quarters for as much as he's respected in the rap game. Enough to do his laundry, at least. Man, let's get this guy some quarters. In fact, free laundry for life. If I had a laundromat in Minnesota, there would be a few people that would get laundry for life. It might be Randy Moss. It might be Dalvin Cook. It might be Prince if he was still alive. And it would definitely be Slug. But perhaps Slug conjuring the image of quarters is a little bit of a call out to the next track. Put it together, the last time that Aesop, MF Doom, and Slug appeared on a track, it was on the Molman track, Put Your Quarters Up. And we got the collab again from those classic MCs on this track, Barcade. And before we even get into this, I gotta comment that the video is awesome. A video game theme with our three favorite MCs here being level bosses, and Slug's animation on the video gives a whole new meaning to God Loves Ugly. But back to this track itself, Aesop, in much of the same style of delivery that we heard on Spirit World Field Guide, he says, "I ain't old school, I ain't new school. I'm more no school, like snow days." And this is a true new Doom verse, not something recycled. And for an MC that wasn't too prolific in his later years, you have to wonder how many of these verses Rhymesayers has in the vault. I've heard them several times this year, and I can't wait to hear more new Doom. Hopefully they have enough for a full album. And this, Doom's flow is a bit different than usual, and he's switching up his voice throughout. And Ant, who surely crafted the beat after the man died, meaning that Doom didn't rhyme to this track, Ant does him justice by switching up the beat to match the different voices and flows that he's got going on. And Doom says, "Black Parka, Fat Marker, Mike Sparker, metal face more bodies than a night stalker," comparing himself to Richard Ramirez, the serial killer known as the Night Stalker. And Slug comes in to end the album perfectly. He says, "Rest in peace to all the energy outside the margin, and leave a candle in the window, that's for Michael Larson." The energy outside the margin means respecting the words that were left here by the dead, in this case Doom, and Idea, who he specifically calls out, his label mate and friend, whose real name was Michael Larson. This is another good atmosphere album. I've accepted the fact that we're not going to get anything amazing like God Loves Ugly, Seven's Travels, or my personal favorite, When Life Gives You Lemons, but we are going to get consistency from Atmosphere always. If it's Slug and Ant, we know we're getting intricate beats with thoughtful, darkly humorous lyrics, and Word proves that yet again. I give Word an 8 out of a 12 pack. Thank you for watching my review of Atmosphere's Word. If you like this, go ahead and hit like now and hit me up in the comments. If you didn't like it, also let me know why in the comments. I drop hip hop and hops related content consistently, so subscribe to my channel now. And until I see you next time, keep buzzing. Man says subscribe.
But if he's on his channel saying that somebody's album is better than mine, unsubscribe to him.
No, your album's the best, man.
There you go. Subscribe.
Yeah.
Subscribe.